boy who sang in the dust. A true story. I was sitting in a wooden pew beside my wife, watching my daughters stand at the front of the chapel. They were both wearing red dresses. My older daughter, Sienna, gently pulled her younger sister, Amelia, a little closer to the microphone, adjusting her so they stood evenly side by side. It was a small movement, careful, intentional, the kind of thing you only notice when you're watching closely. Then they began to sing. Their voices were soft at first, then steadier as they found the melody together. Clear, pure, unafraid. And as I listened, something in me shifted. They say the words spoken by someone you love, a letter written by a friend, or a song sung by the purest of hearts can change a person forever. As my daughters sang, I found myself no longer in that chapel. I was 12 years old again. In Ban Vinai Refugee Camp in northern Thailand, my father had enrolled me in an English class in Section 3. We lived in Section 2, so I walked there on foot. It was mid-morning, around 11. The camp was awake but not crowded. There were occasional vehicles passing by, their engines sputtering as the sound echoed faintly against the surrounding mountains. Mostly, it was the sound of people, walking, talking, riding bicycles, life moving in small, ordinary ways. I was hungry. We almost never had breakfast. If we did, it was something small. A piece of rice cake. Sometimes just rice soaked in cold water. That morning I had nothing. I wore rubber sandals, flip-flops that slapped lightly against my heels as I walked. In one hand, I carried a notebook and a pencil. To get to Section 3, I passed through a market, then a stretch of homes, some built from wood and bamboo with thatched roofs made of elephant grass, others long wooden buildings covered with sheets of tin. The path eventually curved through a hilly area. It cut across the side of the hill. On one side to the south, there were a few homes with thatched roofs. On the other side to the north, there were gardens, sugarcane, mango trees, and patches of shrubs. The gardens were fenced with wooden posts and strips of bamboo. It was quieter there, near the edge of the camp. Beyond the gardens, the land rose into mountains. No houses, no people, just brush and trees stretching upward. That was when I heard a voice. "Meyua." I stopped. The word itself wasn't unusual. People in the camp used it all the time when they didn't know your name. Child, kid, but I hadn't seen anyone. I turned, and that was when I saw him. He was sitting below the path, in the lower ground between where I stood and the gardens above. The earth dipped there, a shallow ditch where rainwater would run during storms. He didn't sit upright. He seemed almost settled into the dirt, as if the ground itself was holding him up, supporting him, like he belonged there in a way I didn't understand. His legs were folded beneath him, flat against the ground. They were smaller than the rest of his body, thinner. They didn't move. He wore black pants powdered with dust and a blue shirt with faint vertical stripes. The only movement came from his face, his mouth as he spoke, his head and hands gently shifting, as if that was all the motion he needed. "Meyua," he said again, calm, unhurried. "Can you help bring me to my house down there?" He lifted his hand and pointed. It was one of the houses on the slope, maybe 30 feet downhill. I didn't answer right away. I looked around, half expecting someone else to be there, someone older, someone who would know what to do. I was just a kid. I didn't know if I was supposed to drag him, carry him, lift him. He was about my size. For a moment, I thought he might be joking, that he would suddenly stand up and run off laughing. "If you help me down," he said gently, "I will sing you a song." I looked at his face. There was no mischief in it, no hint of a prank, just a quiet sincerity. "I've been out here all morning," he added. "I'm tired. I want to go back." Something in me shifted. I don't know how else to describe it. It wasn't heat. It wasn't overwhelming. It was a warmth that settled deep in the center of me, steady, calm, and certain, like clarity, like peace, like I already knew what to do. I don't remember exactly how I moved him. I remember thinking just before I did that he was my size, that it might be difficult. But when I lifted him, there was no struggle, no strain. It was as if something in me had been given more strength than I normally had, as if helping him had made me stronger. We didn't talk while I carried him, not a word. Just the quiet sound of my sandals against the dirt and the soft shift of his body in my arms as I brought him down the slope to the front of his home. When I set him down, he adjusted himself slightly, settling back into the ground the way he had before. Then he looked at me, and he began to sing. I don't remember the words. I wish I did, but I remember the feeling. His voice was soft, gentle. There was no effort in it, no performance. It wasn't loud, but it carried. There was something in it that felt unfinished, like it was reaching for something it couldn't quite hold. Longing, not just sadness, but a longing for something beyond where he was. A life where he could walk, where he could go where other boys went, where he could sit in a classroom instead of in the dirt. A longing to belong. As he sang, the rest of the world seemed to fall away. The hunger I had felt that morning disappeared. The sounds of the camp faded. It felt as though that song was not meant for everyone, only for the one who had stopped, only for the one who had helped. When he finished, I stood there, unsure what to say. I didn't have the words for what I had just felt. I didn't know how to tell him that his voice had done something to me, that it had made everything feel different. So I said the only thing I could think of, I'll tell my friends to come help you. He shook his head softly. No, he said, that won't be necessary. I'm okay from here. Thank you. He lowered his hands back to his sides, resting partly on his legs, partly on the ground. Comfortable, at ease, as if he needed nothing more. I waited for him to say something else. He didn't. He turned his attention down toward the dirt in front of him, as if that was enough. So I turned, and I walked away. I went to my English class. I don't remember anything the teacher said that day. My mind kept returning to him, the way he sat, the way he spoke, the way he sang. That evening I told my father. He listened. He didn't say much. He didn't tell me to go back. He didn't ask me to find the boy again. And I didn't go back. Years passed. I learned later that he had been born into a life that had already decided many things for him, that his body had once been like mine, that something had taken that from him, that he spent most of his days inside while his mother worked to support them, that he didn't have many friends. I am in my 40s now. Ban Vinai Refugee Camp is gone. Where it once stood, there is only jungle. There is no path to walk again, no house to knock on, no way to find him. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I had gone back, if I had walked that same path again, if I had knocked on every door in that area and asked about the boy who sang. I could have sat with him, listened to him, brought him what I was learning in school, taught him the alphabet, spent time, been his friend. I didn't know then what I know now. I didn't understand what a moment like that could become. I was just a boy, walking to class, moving on. But now when I hear my daughters sing, I think of him, of the way his voice carried something pure, something honest, something that didn't need an audience, only a listener. And I find myself holding on to small moments more tightly, paying attention to people I might have once walked past, understanding a little more how easily something meaningful can appear and disappear. If I could say anything to him now, it wouldn't be much. Just something simple. Something I didn't know how to say then. I would tell him I remember, and that I'm sorry I didn't come back. We could have been friends.